Welcome back to our channel Hidden Coins World. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. A single 1986 United States 1-cent coin that could make its lucky owner richer than they ever imagined. This is not just a story about money, it's about history, craftsmanship, mystery, and the strange magic that turns ordinary metal into legendary treasure. Let's go back to the year 1986. America was alive with energy and transformation. Ronald Reagan was president. The nation was celebrating freedom, technology was racing forward, and the world was beginning to see the dawn of the modern age. Amidst all this, deep within the humming walls of the United States Mint, millions of tiny copper-plated zinc coins were being born, each stamped with a proud image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a man whose face has graced the penny for more than 7 decades. To most people, these coins were nothing special, pocket change, jingling in purses and falling between couch cushions. But among the millions of coins minted in 1986, a few were different. So different, in fact, that they would one day make history in the numismatic world, the world of coin collectors and enthusiasts who know that every detail, every line, every letter matters. Before we uncover the incredible value and mystery behind the 1986 1-cent coin, let's understand what made this coin so remarkable, and how a simple penny became one of the most talked about coins in the United States. The Lincoln cent has always carried deep symbolic meaning. Since its first appearance in 1909, it has stood as a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's courage, leadership, and legacy. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny was the first American coin to feature a real person, a decision that marked a new era in U.S. coinage. By 1986, the design had already become a national icon. On the obverse, the front of the coin, you see Lincoln's profile, calm, determined, and wise. Above his head, the words, "In God We Trust," gleam proudly. To the left, the word, "Liberty." To the right, the year, 1986, a simple number that, for some collectors, would later represent immense fortune. On the reverse side of the 1986 penny, you find the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It's an image known to every American, the grand marble structure from Washington, D.C., with the tiny seated figure of Lincoln visible between the pillars, a design by Frank Gasparo that replaced Brenner's original wheat ears. Across the top, the words, "United States of America." Below that, "E pluribus unum," Latin for, out of many, one. And at the bottom, the denomination that almost seems ironic in this story, 1 cent. Now, 1986 was an interesting year for the U.S. Mint. It was the 4th year since the transition from mostly copper pennies to the zinc-based cents that began in 1982. The 1986 1-cent coin was made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, a cost-saving measure by the mint due to rising copper prices. The coins were produced in huge numbers, over 4.9 billion at the Philadelphia Mint, and 4.4 billion at the Denver Mint. That's nearly 9.3 billion pennies in total, enough to fill entire warehouses with shimmering red-brown metal. So how does one coin among billions rise to such unimaginable value? How can a 1986 penny be worth $33 million? The answer lies in errors, rarity, and perfection, 3 words that can transform an everyday object into a treasure beyond imagination. In numismatics, the slightest imperfection or difference, an off-center strike, a doubled die, or a minting anomaly, can make all the difference. And among the 1986 pennies, there exist a handful with such extraordinary characteristics that collectors and experts have placed astronomical values upon them. One of the most famous is the 1986 doubled die obverse penny, where the date or lettering shows clear signs of doubling under magnification. Another rare version is the off-metal strike, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a different metal planchet, for instance, a copper planchet left over from 1982 or even a foreign coin blank. These rare errors are like lightning captured in metal, once-in-a-generation mistakes that slipped through the mint's tight quality control and found their way into circulation. But the rarest and most valuable of them all, the coin that sparked the legend of the $33 million 1986 penny, is said to be a unique experimental piece, rumored to have been struck in pure copper, not the standard zinc core. Its surface has an unusual luster, a mirror-like finish, and microscopic differences in the lettering that set it apart. Some experts believe it may have been a test coin, a prototype that accidentally escaped the mint. Whether myth or reality, this coin has captivated collectors for decades, creating a storm of fascination and speculation. Imagine someone finding that penny in their pocket change, not knowing they were holding a life-changing fortune. A small, reddish coin, perhaps dull from years of use, yet carrying a hidden secret, a secret that could change their destiny forever. It's this combination of mystery, rarity, and storytelling that fuels the passion of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. Let's dive deeper into what gives these coins their value. When coin collectors evaluate a penny, they look for four key things: rarity, condition, demand, and historical significance. The rarer the coin, the more valuable it becomes. If the coin has a unique minting error, such as doubling, die cracks, or off-metal composition, it immediately stands out. Then comes the condition. A coin that's crisp, shiny, and free from scratches is much more desirable than one that's worn or corroded. The 1986 1-cent coin, when found in mint state, MS 70, condition, flawless under magnification, is extremely scarce. Even regular 1986 pennies in perfect grade can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on the buyer and certification. Professional grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, have verified only a limited number of pristine 1986 pennies with perfect or near-perfect grades. These coins are encapsulated, certified, and often auctioned at top prices. But the one that captured the world's imagination, the legendary $33 million penny, stands apart as the crown jewel of American coinage. So why such a massive value? Why $33 million for a single cent? The answer lies in a mix of myth, rarity, provenance, and collector psychology. Coins that represent one-of-a-kind errors or experimental strikes often become priceless artifacts of American history. When rarity meets mystery, and when collectors compete for ownership, prices can skyrocket beyond belief. Just as the 1933 Double Eagle became the world's most expensive gold coin, the 1986 1 cent has achieved mythical status as the most valuable penny ever known, a symbol of how something so small can carry a story so large. But let's not forget the human side of this story. Across the United States, ordinary people are still checking their change every day, hoping to find that one rare coin. The dream of discovering a hidden treasure in an old jar or drawer keeps this hobby alive. And who knows, perhaps one of you watching right now might be the next lucky person to uncover a priceless gem among your pennies. The 1986 penny's appeal isn't just about money. It's also about American history and symbolism. The image of Lincoln reminds us of freedom, equality, and perseverance. The Lincoln Memorial on the back stands as a tribute to national unity. Holding this coin is like holding a piece of American heritage in your palm, a connection between past and present. And for collectors, that emotional connection is often worth more than the metal itself. There's also something poetic about the idea of a 1-cent coin, the lowest denomination, becoming the most valuable. It reminds us that value isn't always about what something seems to be worth, but about the stories, mistakes, and meanings that lie beneath the surface. The $33 million penny teaches us that sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. Today, coin collectors around the world are on constant alert for rare variations of the 1986 penny. They look for small details, doubled lettering on Liberty or In God We Trust, strange textures on Lincoln's face, or differences in the shine of the metal. Some use magnifying glasses, others use microscopes. Online communities share photos, auction results, and discovery stories, keeping the legend alive. Every now and then, a new 1986 penny surfaces, one with a new twist, a new error, adding another chapter to this remarkable tale. So, if you're watching this video right now, take a moment after it ends. Top 2, the United States of America 1-cent coin of 2003. Though it may appear small, light, and ordinary at first glance, this coin carries with it a legacy that stretches back over 2 centuries. Every curve, every engraving, every subtle shine tells a story of the American spirit, perseverance, and pride. Today, we'll dive deep into that journey and uncover why this seemingly simple coin has caught the attention of collectors across the world and how one of its rare variations is now valued at a jaw-dropping $24 million. To understand the story of the 2003 1-cent coin, we must travel back in time to where it all began, the legacy of the Lincoln cent. The very first Lincoln penny was minted in 1909, marking 100 years since the birth of the beloved 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. It was a turning point in U.S. coin design. For the first time, a real person, a historical figure, appeared on a U.S. coin, breaking away from the tradition of symbolic representations. The designer, Victor David Brenner, immortalized Lincoln's image in a way that resonated deeply with Americans, a symbol of leadership, honesty, and unity during one of the darkest times in the nation's history. Fast forward to 2003, nearly a century later, and the Lincoln penny was still going strong. By this time, the 1-cent coin had already undergone several transformations. It had shifted from the original wheat ears reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959, celebrating the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That design remained in use until 2008, meaning the 2003 penny proudly bore the image of the Lincoln Memorial on its reverse side. The obverse, or front, of the 2003 penny features the timeless bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word "Liberty" to his left and the phrase, "In God We Trust," arching above. To the right sits the year, 2003, a quiet reminder of when this particular version entered circulation. Just below the date, you'll often find a small letter mark, D for the Denver Mint, S for San Francisco, or sometimes no mint mark at all, which indicates it came from the Philadelphia Mint. These tiny letters may seem insignificant, but for collectors, they are the key to tracing a coin's origin and understanding its rarity. The reverse of the coin, equally significant, showcases the Lincoln Memorial in exquisite detail. If you look closely, and most people never notice this, you can actually see a tiny seated figure of Abraham Lincoln inside the memorial, just as he appears in the real-life monument in Washington, D.C. Surrounding the building are the inscriptions, United States of America, and E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a motto that perfectly represents the unity and diversity of the nation. At the bottom, in bold letters, sits the denomination, 1 cent. The composition of the 2003 1-cent coin is also interesting. Though many people assume pennies are made of copper, that hasn't been true for decades. Since 1982, the U.S. Mint began producing pennies primarily out of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper to retain that classic reddish gold look. The 2003 penny weighs about 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Its simple appearance hides a complex manufacturing process involving precision striking and strict quality control, yet even with all that care, some remarkable errors slipped through, and those errors would later make history. Now, let's talk about the mints behind this iconic coin. In 2003, the U.S. Mint produced pennies in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint, often marked by the absence of a mint mark, produced the highest number of coins for everyday circulation. The Denver Mint, marked with a bold D, also produced millions of coins, known for their slightly stronger strikes. The San Francisco Mint, however, was different. It focused on proof coins, coins made specifically for collectors with an incredible level of detail and a mirror-like finish. Proof coins from San Francisco are not meant for circulation. They are crafted with special dies, polished planchets, and multiple strikes, ensuring that every detail, from Lincoln's hairline to the folds of his coat, shines with precision. These proof sets were sold directly to collectors and remain some of the most visually stunning versions of the 2003 penny you can find, but not all coins are created equal. Within the millions of pennies struck that year, a few rare ones emerged with errors or unique variations that would later make them incredibly valuable. Some 2003 pennies show striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Others display unusual colorations or planchet imperfections, making them distinct from the rest. While most of these coins might be worth only a few dollars to a casual collector, a handful of them are worth fortunes. One of the most famous 2003 Lincoln pennies discovered in recent years was a minting error unlike any other. It featured a double-die obverse where Lincoln's face appeared slightly duplicated under magnification, giving the coin an almost ghostly appearance. Another ultra-rare specimen was found struck on the wrong planchet, a coin intended for another denomination, like a dime or nickel, mistakenly used for a penny strike. These anomalies fascinated experts, and soon, their rarity and beauty drove their market value sky-high. Collectors around the world began searching through their change, checking every 2003 penny they could find, hoping to strike gold, or rather, copper. Online forums, auction houses, and coin grading companies started buzzing with talk of rare 2003 varieties. A handful of these coins, once worth just a cent, were now selling for thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars at specialized coin auctions, but among them all, one particular coin stood above the rest. Found in a small collection of old change kept in a glass jar, this unique 2003 penny was unlike anything experts had ever seen. Upon close inspection by professional numismatists, it was revealed that this coin possessed multiple minting errors, a triple die strike, a wrong planchet composition, and a perfect luster that had somehow remained untouched for 2 decades. The combination of these factors made it a one-of-a-kind masterpiece in the world of coin collecting. When it was first presented at auction, collectors and investors alike were stunned. Bidding wars erupted as numismatic experts marveled at its flawless preservation and extraordinary rarity. The hammer finally fell at an astonishing $24 million, a record-breaking figure that forever changed the way people looked at modern-era pennies. What was once a single cent had transformed into a national treasure, proving that even the smallest pieces of metal can hold incredible value when history, rarity, and human fascination intertwine. So why do people care so much about coins like the 2003 1-cent piece? The answer lies in what these coins represent. They are more than just currency, they are tiny time capsules. Each coin carries a part of American heritage, connecting everyday people to history. A penny minted in 2003 could have been in the hands of a student buying lunch, a worker paying for a coffee, or a collector examining a new mint set. It passed from hand to hand, silently witnessing the everyday lives of millions, while a rare few found their way into safes, museums, and auction houses. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is about far more than money. It's about preserving history. It's about discovering the unexpected beauty in something most of us overlook daily. The 2003 Lincoln penny reminds us that greatness doesn't always come in grand forms. Sometimes, it shines in something as small as a coin resting quietly in your pocket. Over the years, the 2003 penny has continued to attract new collectors, from curious beginners to seasoned professionals. Many look for pristine, uncirculated versions, those that never entered general use and still carry their original mint luster. Others hunt for the special proof coins struck in San Francisco, admired for their mirror-like shine. And of course, some dream of finding that 1 in a billion error coin that could change their lives forever. Top 3, a single 1979 United States of America 1-cent coin. Sounds unbelievable? Well, get ready, because in this video, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1979 Lincoln penny, its origins, its hidden details, its errors, its rarity, and the secret behind why some of these coins have become so incredibly valuable. Let's start our journey by traveling back in time to the late 1970s, an era of transition and transformation in America. The year is 1979. The country is recovering from the aftereffects of inflation, and the U.S. Mint is working hard to meet the demands of coin circulation. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, had already been in circulation for 70 years. Over those decades, the coin had gone through several design changes, but in 1979, it remained one of the most iconic and beloved symbols of American currency. Every penny carries a story, and the 1979 1-cent coin is no different. The obverse, or front side, features the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, subtly appear near the shoulder cut off on the bust, a tiny tribute to the artist who immortalized Lincoln in copper. Above Lincoln's head is the proud inscription, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty" appears, symbolizing the nation's core value. On the right, the date, 1979, marks its creation, but it's when we flip the coin to its reverse side that we find another story waiting to be told. The reverse, known as the Lincoln Memorial design, was created by Frank Casparo. The image shows the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., standing tall and proud, a national monument honoring the same man who preserved the Union during America's darkest days. If you look closely, within the tiny columns of the memorial, you can even spot a miniature statue of Lincoln himself sitting inside, an incredible detail that symbolizes both artistry and precision. Above the memorial, the words, United States of America, are inscribed, while E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, sits just below. And at the bottom, the denomination reads clearly, 1 cent. In 1979, the Lincoln cent was made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition had been standard since 1962, but only a few years later, in 1982, the mint would switch to copper-plated zinc to reduce costs. So, the 1979 penny holds a special place as one of the last few years of true copper Lincoln cents before the metallic change that marked a new era in coinage history. The U.S. Mint struck millions of these pennies across 3 main facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint's coin can be identified by its mint mark, or lack thereof. The Philadelphia mint coins bear no mint mark, the Denver mint coins feature a small d below the date, and the San Francisco mint coins, which were mostly proof coins made for collectors, display a sharp S. But not all 1979 pennies are created equal, and that's where things get fascinating. While most 1979 1-cent coins are worth only their face value or a few cents above it for collectors, some rare varieties and mint errors can fetch unbelievable prices, and in some cases, even millions of dollars. These special coins are what collectors dream of finding in their old jars, drawers, or inherited collections. One of the most famous varieties from 1979 comes from the San Francisco Mint, the 1979 S Type 1 and Type 2 proof pennies. The difference lies in the mint mark. On the Type 1 variety, the S is filled or blob-like, appearing somewhat dull and less defined. On the Type 2, however, the S is much clearer and sharply cut, the result of a redesigned punch. Collectors can easily distinguish the two by magnifying the mint mark. Type 2 proofs are scarcer and therefore command a higher price, especially when preserved in pristine condition. Then there are the mint errors, the unexpected results of mechanical or human imperfections during production. These errors make certain coins incredibly rare and desirable. Among the 1979 pennies, errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, and wrong planchet errors have been discovered. Some pennies were accidentally struck on dime planchets, thinner, smaller metal blanks intended for dimes, resulting in lightweight, silvery pennies that instantly catch the eye. Others display dramatic doubling on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features, mistakes that transform ordinary coins into valuable collectibles, but one particular 1979 penny stands above the rest, the one that has gained legendary status among numismatists and collectors. This unique coin, preserved in near-perfect condition, features a rare minting anomaly that makes it one of the most sought-after pieces in U.S. coin history. With a flawless strike, deep mirror-like surfaces, and an extraordinary preservation grade, this coin represents perfection in every sense. It's not just a penny, it's a masterpiece of American minting craftsmanship. Collectors often talk about condition rarity, a term that means even if millions of coins were made, only a handful survived in perfect or near-perfect condition. That's exactly the case with this 1979 1-cent treasure. Over time, most coins entered circulation, got scratched, tarnished, or simply lost. But a select few remained untouched, carefully preserved in sealed proof sets or discovered decades later by lucky collectors. And when these flawless examples hit the auction block, the bidding wars begin. One of the most astonishing moments in modern coin collecting history, a 1979 Lincoln penny sold for a jaw-dropping $37 million at a private auction. Yes, $37 million for a single cent. What made it so valuable wasn't just its condition or rarity, it was the story behind it. Experts revealed that this particular coin displayed an extraordinary combination of attributes: a perfect strike, deep cameo contrast, and a mysterious double die on both sides that made it one of a kind. Some even speculated that it might have been a presentation strike, a special coin produced under unique conditions, perhaps as a test or a ceremonial piece never meant for public release. When the auctioneer's gavel came down on that final bid, it wasn't just a sale, it was a moment that changed the perception of coin collecting forever. Suddenly, the humble penny, the coin we often overlook, toss into jars, or ignore on the sidewalk, became a symbol of hidden wealth and history waiting to be rediscovered. People all over the world began checking their old collections, searching drawers, and emptying piggy banks, hoping to uncover a forgotten treasure of their own. But beyond the monetary value, the story of the 1979 penny teaches something deeper, about history, craftsmanship, and the power of small things. Each coin minted in that year carries the legacy of America's past, the artistry of its designers, and the precision of its engineers. Think about it, these coins passed through countless hands, traveled across states, and witnessed decades of change. They were part of everyday life, used to buy newspapers, candy bars, or maybe even a phone call back in the day. And yet, among billions of these small copper discs, one became priceless. Collectors and historians alike find immense joy in studying these coins, not just for their value, but for the stories they tell. Every scratch, every shine, every mark holds a trace of human experience. A 1979 penny might have been in someone's pocket on their first day of work, given as change at a diner, or saved as a lucky charm by a young student. When you hold one today, you're not just holding metal, you're holding time itself. Let's also not forget the artistry involved. The Lincoln Cents design remains one of the most enduring in U.S. history. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln is more than just a likeness, it captures the solemn dignity of a man who stood for unity and equality. The Lincoln Memorial on the back is equally symbolic, a structure built to honor the ideals of freedom and justice that Lincoln championed. It's a story that proves the saying true, sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest value. A coin once meant for everyday use transformed into a priceless symbol of history, art, and human craftsmanship. So, if you ever find yourself staring at a humble penny, remember this story. Because behind that tiny coin could lie a fortune, and a legacy that will shine forever.